Katey Duggar made an appearance on the most recent podcast episode hosted by Jinger and Jeremy. As a married couple with 4 children, Katey and Jed revealed significant updates about their lives. Some were taken aback, though, when Katey and Jinger became upset over Jed. To find out what transpired, continue reading. Katey discussed her plans for the future as a mother on Jinger's most recent podcast. It has been reported that Jed's wife has obtained a pilot's license. Furthermore, she mentioned that her father has been an airline pilot since she was born, which sparked her desire to do the same. Within 3 to 4 months, Katey obtained her driver's license, she said. But the former counting on star hasn't gotten on an airplane since having children with Jed, so she might be out of commission for a time. On the same podcast, Katey broke down in tears as she gushed over Jed's parental achievements. After witnessing what an incredible and dedicated father Jed is, Katey says she fell even more in love with him. That her brother is a remarkable human being was echoed by Jinger, who became visibly emotional as she spoke. Jed, too, suppressed his emotions as he expressed his gratitude for his wife's words. Along with Jinger, he acknowledged that they are criers. A large number of Counting On viewers also shared their joy for Jed and Katey in the comments area of Jinger's post. Jed, you are so fortunate, it hurts. What a lovely young lady. Since you're still going to face criticism, it's better that you do what makes you happy. The soul of Katey is so gentle and kind. Wow, that was amazing. In order to remind moms of what Katey said, I had to cut out a section and add it to my story. That had the greatest effect on me. May divine blessings be upon you. After giving birth to identical twin girls, Katey startled Jinger and Jeremy by disclosing the potential of having another pair of twins. They are a happily married couple. The ex-Counting On star claims she has an 80% probability of becoming pregnant with twins once more. Having twins is a trait that runs in her mother's line, she said, adding that it is unrelated to Jed's. But they've decided to pause having children because their odds of conceiving twins are so great. Excellent interview. I found it rather entertaining. It would be really fantastic if your parents could make an appearance on the show, Jinger and Jeremy. What an intriguing pairing, Joseph and Kendra. Your family stories always bring a smile to my face. I find it quite intriguing. What thoughtful discussions Katey and Jed had. While the odds of an 80% rise are high, the odds of an 80% possibility are far lower. Fortunately, sure thing. Fraternal twins and other multiple births are more common in people who are able to conceive them. My initial set is sufficient. In an unexpected turn of events, the Duggar daughter-in-law opened up on a tranquil Tuesday afternoon in Springdale. Faith, Family and Forward is a podcast that focuses on families, and in a recent interview, sitting across from the mild-mannered host, Katey Nakatsu Duggar sat with her fingers crossed and an anxious smile on her lips. One surprising question changed the tone of the talk and brought tears to Katey's eyes as they moved gently through delicate subjects like parenting, her spiritual journey, and raising small children. What is one aspect of your relationship with Jed that is often misunderstood? This caused her to halt. Tears filled her eyes. The room's air suddenly felt thicker and heavier. Starting softly, with a bold heart, Katey Duggar has always shown a rare combination of elegance and strength. She is now a mother of 3 and has been married to Jed Duggar since 2021. It seemed like Katey's entrance into Duggar world was modest, deliberate, and even mysterious, in contrast to other Duggar spouses who discovered the spotlight early. Her sharp mind, fiery attitude, and, most importantly, her unbreakable connection to Jed have been shown to viewers throughout the years. What many fans didn't realize, at least not until recently, was how much that connection was strengthened by fire, rather than a romantic tale. Katey whispered, I know people think we've had this great marriage. However, unseen by the public, we have weathered storms side by side. She sounded trembling. Beneath the smile, a storm rages. As Katey persisted, her emotions increasingly showing, tears started to fall. I didn't even want to go down the aisle when my grandmother tragically passed just a few weeks before our wedding. I didn't know how to hold joy and grief at the same time. I was numb, in shock. A tissue was delicately offered to her by the host as she dabbed at her eyes. However, Jed never once urged me to keep going or move on. In the stillness, he joined me. Several hours. From time to time, we do it quietly. And it was at that very time that I understood. I wasn't wed to a famous last name. I was wed to a man who would support me when I was unable to do it on my own. The Duggars never showed us before. One fan captioned a video clip of the occasion they had recorded and posted online. Jedidiah, in the shadows, away from the stillness, as a brother of Jeremiah and a less prominent figure than his twin, Jed Duggar has a reputation for being one of the more reserved Duggars. The man Katey knew at home, however, was depicted in a completely different light by her. Jed guards his family and home with an iron fist. Not authoritarian, but more like a fighter. He is the first to intervene when I am upset or when someone criticizes me. As her voice trailed off, she forced a brief smile and smiled through her tears. Yet, he's also the type of person who will affix a verse to my mirror if he knows I've been going through a tough time, or who will spend 40 minutes attempting to put a baby to sleep so that I can get some rest. Katey exposed not only Jed's personality, but also her own feelings for her spouse in those few words. Confidentiality, pressure, and faith. Challenging dialogues. Particularly moving to listeners was Katey's forthrightness regarding the special strain of a Duggar marriage. By saying, "We're not just a normal couple in Arkansas," she bravely acknowledged the scrutiny. I went from being a normal person to a Duggar wife, with all the associated opinions the moment we were married. Criticism of our parenting style, my appearance, and my speech from others. Once again, her lip quivered as she halted. I wondered if I was doing enough at times. If I could be very assertive, too passionate. However, Jed, he never once made an effort to diminish my power. There was a purpose why God brought you to me. He would say time and time again, "Don't be afraid." She recounted that moment as the first after their marriage when she sobbed in his embrace, this time not from grief but from relief. The postpartum period, parental pressure, and, when the topic shifted to parenthood, Katey recalled the time immediately following the birth of their third child. It was more devastating than I had anticipated. The weight of diapers, lack of sleep, and guilt seemed to be engulfing me. Something was off with me. In an effort to collect herself, she briefly averted her gaze. When Jed got home from work, I would literally collapse into his arms. But I do. He simply stared at me after I told him. I don't even recognize the person in the mirror. That was one night together. Moreover, my affection for her has become stronger in recent times. The sobs resumed their course. It was a devastating time. As far as possible. Why? Because I learned that being imperfect was all that was needed to be loved. Grace at the center of a marriage. By the conclusion of the interview, it was evident not only that Katey wept, but also the reason for her tears. Not because of scandal or melancholy, but because she has felt a very unusual and extraordinary love that remains strong even when faced with darkness. Jed isn't perfect, she said with a laugh as she wiped her eyes. At night, he eats entirely too much cereal, is obstinate, and makes a mess with tools. However, he is loyal. Also, that is everything I have ever required. One of the most vulnerable Duggar-adjacent interviews ever aired was the verdict of the listeners. Katey made it impossible not to cry over a Duggar daughter-in-law, one supporter said, adding that even others who weren't supporters couldn't help but join in. Last thoughts. A peek into true love. With one last question, the host asked, "What's the one thing you want your children to say about your marriage someday?" Katey stared straight into the lens of the camera. That we existed. That we shown unwavering support for one another, were able to forgive swiftly, and loved intensely. Regardless of whether anybody else was looking. Soft music faded in at the end of the show, giving viewers with a lasting impression of something unusual in the Duggar orbit. Genuine emotion, tears, and a love story characterized by unfiltered devotion rather than sensationalism.